everybody, what's going on? This is the Retro Film Podcast. I am Giuseppe.
And I am Neil D.
And today we're going with my pick for 1980 slasher movie, the Troma Team Cult Classic, Mother's Day. So I picked this movie because this was like back in the 90s. I mean, like this movie came out in 1980. 1980 is the year I was born. So obviously I couldn't have watched it back then, but like the 80s was when I started getting into horror, started getting into slasher movies, all those kinds of things. I mean, first movie I remember ever seeing that was a horror movie was Poltergeist. But in the 90s, you know, we had Blockbuster Video. You know, we had that throughout the 80s and the 90s, you know, the video store. And, you know, 1990 was the year that they opened up a Blockbuster Video right across the street from my house. So we would rent from there all the time. And it was like, if the smaller store didn't have it, we'd go there. But like all throughout the 90s, we would just go rent anything. You know, we would just peruse that horror section and just grab anything off the shelf. And this had to be like mid to late 90s at this point, like somewhere between like 96 and 98, where we're just like, again, just grabbing anything like Witchboard, you know, and you know, my brother would just come home with like all these weird flicks. And of course, one day he brought home Mother's Day. And we're like, okay, you know, let's check it out. It's like the title doesn't really give you much, you know. It's like you think of Mother's Day, it's like, okay, there's My Bloody Valentine, there's Silent Night, Deadly Night, and it's like Mother's Day, really, you know. So you just kind of, just from the title alone, it just kind of like throws you for a loop, and you know, because you kind of don't know what you're getting yourself into, you know. And at the time, I hadn't seen the cover; it was just something my brother brought home, so pop it in. First line in the whole movie had us dying. All right, dirtbags. So it's, you know, it's the whole what do you call it? Motivational speaker, but like tough love type of motivational speaking. All right, dirtbags, turn to the person next to you. Tell them thank you for what was it? Thank you for enjoying this time with me. I love you. And they, you know, they kiss, they all hug and all that stuff. It was a funny little opening scene there.
To each other, I love you.
Yeah, exactly. And what was
the ego?
Yeah,
ego was a mock motivational program at the time. Motivational products were being pushed, and that's a big point for this film because, okay, this is my journey with Mother's Day. Now, I had watched My Bloody Valentine, and it was a holiday themed movie post Friday the 13th, and I loved the holiday or date themed slasher films. From that point on, I was hooked on them for a little bit, so I was renting them, and I rented this gem from Video Plus, which was a mom and pop video store.
Right.
Which was on the side of a theater called the Forest Theater, which was a legendary theater where I grew up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, anybody from Connecticut knows Forest Theater. It's long gone now, but it was one of those one-off theaters that had just one screen, and it had the actual ticket booth outside with the lady taking the tickets through the window.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, because like
it was a $99 film. $99 99-cent films. Dollar films.
Yeah, because like back
$1.50 candy.
Yeah, because like back then it was like if you go to the theater and the movie sold out, that's it. You like, you know what I mean? There was no like going on your phone, buying a ticket for the next show or whatever. So it's like that was cool that you had a video store like right next door. So it's like the movie sold out, you just go next door and pick up a video to take home. That's cool.
So I found out about Mother's Day, and I was familiar with the Troma outfit because I had seen Graduation Day, which is one of my favorite slasher films. And I'd seen, obviously, Tox's Adventure.
Yeah.
So I rented Mother's Day, and we watched it, and it's a very interesting film. It's a hard watch, but it's not a hard watch, and I'll explain this why. Because it's an unusual mix of black comedy and brutal exploitation with satirical subtexts, and I know that's a lot to take in for the viewers, but
right, yeah.
I'll explain it. A lot of slashers of the 80s were pretty straightforward, right? You had a masked killer picking off young adults, doing mischief things. But I think what Mother's Day did is it picked up where Romero left off, so to speak. And it's not, obviously it's not an intellectual film like Night of the Living Dead, but it does have tones of family values. If you look deep into the film, some people just want to see slapstick horror, you know, grindhouse shit, which I get. But if you look deeper into Mother's Day, I think first of all, it's people get the misconception it's not actually it was not a trauma film. It was distributed by another company, but Charlie Kaufman, Lloyd Kaufman's brother, produced it.
Well,
So it
he wrote and directed it.
yeah, it has the trauma tones to it,
Yeah,
obviously.
Lloyd Kaufman. I think he was like one of the associate producers on it too.
Right, and Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has themes of consumerism, psychology, and family values. And there's a lot of pop culture references which people don't realize. It's very Tarantino-esque, and it has pop culture references. If when they're in the room, you could see a lot of product detail. You know, they're eating like Trix cereal.
Yeah.
It has infomercials on the TV. I think there's a jar of Vaseline on the table when they're eating. There's, you know, I mean, there's like a Rambo commercial, I think, in there at one point. And, you know, the Rocky vignette, which we'll get into later on. But it's a mix of black comedy. And I think they deliberately did that so that you can process what you're watching. Because think of this, Giuseppe, if you take out the slapstick comedy, almost like the vaudeville stuff that's going on in the film,
Right.
it's just, and you just have these two brothers that savagely, you know, kidnap these three women and rape them and sadistically torture them, and
Right.
you can't really watch it. It's
Right.
like another I Spit on Your Grave. So what makes this film different than I Spit on Your Grave is that it adds, which is brilliant, it adds comedy to subdue the disgusting depravity that's going on, and you're able to watch it a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's true because there were a lot of things, especially like the way, especially the brother, the older brother. I'm assuming he's the older brother, Ike, the one with the messed up teeth. Kind of looked like a like a jacked up Tim Curry, you know, like to me at least. But like you know when he would do
A
that,
punk
like
rock Tim Curry.
yeah, exactly. It's like punk's stupid, disco sucks. The two of them were like just hilarious, but it like didn't take away from like how brutal and like just disgusting they were and how terrible like the stuff that they put these women through this throughout this whole movie. So just to give like the whole story about it, what it's about is like you got these three women, college best friends, you know, college roommates, best friends, call themselves the Rat Pack. And you know, here they are, it's like their last day of college. They're going through some of the stuff that they went through during their time together, you know, just going through like picture slides and all that stuff and saying, you know, I wonder where we're going to be in 10 years. It's like, well, you know, maybe we won't, you know, lose touch with each other. It's like maybe we should just at least like meet each other like once a year. So that's what this becomes now. So it's like here it is 10 years later. And you know, I guess like you know they kind of imply that throughout the years they meet up once a year. One will send a telegram and say meet at this place, and I'm gonna bring you on like a mystery, you know, vacation or mystery little, you know, just a getaway. So everybody drops what they're doing. So it's like you got Trina, who is like the you know, the tall, beautiful blonde, and here she is 10 years later, living it up in Beverly Hills, hosting like a rich party where like people are snorting coke, where like the butler's coming around with a silver tray with chopped coke on it, people taking it, you know, people snorting it, and then the butler brings her over her telegram saying meet at this place at this time. Then you got Abby, who's living in Chicago, you know, like the cute little like I guess like nerdy girl, like the quiet one, so to speak, living with her mother still. And she, you know, she's coming home with groceries and her mother's screaming at her, where have you been, you whore, you slut? You're out gallivanting around doing all this nasty. Don't you know I'm a sick woman? I'm a sick woman. And just, she gets like, she's like, okay, yeah, like just, you know, like just kind of nodding it off and gets the telegram. Okay, we're going to meet at this place at this time. And then we get Jackie, who's living in New York City, going through it, who just went, you know, from the phone call on her answering machine. I don't know if many people remember what those are, but she had a message on her answering machine from her supposed ex-husband, talking about like the divorce, and of course a message from her mother trying to like set her up with another guy. But then here she is like getting ready to leave because she's the one who's setting up this next trip. And all of a sudden somebody comes in, grabs her from behind, and it turns out it's her boyfriend. This guy's a piece of shit, cokehead, steals money from her purse, says, hey, can I stay here while you're gone? Yeah, no problem.
Well, there's another satirical. I mean, there's another nod to uh, the times and stuff. So people, the general audience is going to pick up this stuff. Like me and you, we pick films. We analytically analyze
Yeah.
films. So it's a little different. I just want to put that disclaimer out. It's just showing how women fall for the bad boy syndrome,
Yeah.
and that's what that whole scene was signifying. Is because if you watch the scene deeply, she walks out the door and says, I love you. And the guy's like, yeah, fuck you, whatever. Steals
Yeah.
money from her and says, yeah, babe, I'll see you around.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think personally, this has never stopped, but it was prevalent in the 80s where women were just falling for the suave, freeloading uh, dirt bag. And they wanted to emphasize that. The film's filmed with misogyny, but it's also, we see a different side. We see strong women in the end. So I just wanted to point that out. And another thing, you mentioned just it's a weird film in the fact that when it's almost like three different films. Like you mentioned the plot now. The beginning is they're in this self-help group, right? And then we see the mother brutally kill these drifters in the car, right? That's where it starts it off.
It's funny because I refer to them as crackhead Lady Gaga and crackhead Paul Rudd. If you look at
Okay.
them, I mean,
So you think the drifters are going to kill the old lady? It's misleading purposely, but it's the other way around. And then we get okay, so she's the queen bee. She's the godmother, the one that's running things when the two sons come into it.
yeah,
So then you jump to Beverly Hills, and it almost becomes like Boogie Nights. It's almost a scene from Boogie Nights. You got the roller girl rolling around. It's a swinging 70s party. They're doing cocaine. They're having sex. There's little vignettes where the director, creepy old men, are talking and asking stuff. Like you got the guy saying film, three keywords: distribution, distribution, distribution. And it's just like very Boogie Nights ish, right?
yeah. What was it?
And then it goes into,
What was it the old guy was saying though?
what was that?
The guy who was like grabbing like every girl that walked by him. What was it that Kubrick said? And then like he would just like start.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a funny. It was just a funny.
So it reminded me of Boogie Nights, yeah. And then you jump to the roommate camaraderie, roommate friendship thing in the third, by like the beginning of the second act or the end of the second act, and it goes in the third act where they're actually out in the camping grounds and things get started.
Yeah, and it's like before that, like with Jackie, it's like that's the thing too, and it's like obviously when you first start a movie, you don't know something is foreshadowing until it happens. So there was a bit of foreshadowing in like the first scene with Abby with her mother, and I think there was one with Jackie too, where you just kind of see the way she is with the boyfriend that she has, what a piece of shit he is, how like she just just basically adheres to what he's doing and just lets him do, like basically just walk all over her, especially since like she just got out of a divorce, which obviously like proves that there was like some kind of a bad relationship before this even worse relationship. So it just kind of gives you like insight to each of their characters and like how they might deal with what's going to happen further in the movie.
Yep. And then then things start rolling with the cat and mouse chase with the two brothers and the girls, and they eventually kidnap them in their sleeping bags after a few little like jump scare fake girls playing pranks on each other type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a sentimental moment where they're like, we're gonna be friends forever, I love you, and then boom, brother just takes her and grabs her like cattle to a slaughter, and they get kidnapped and brought to the house, mother's house,
Right. And I think
And
I think that was one of the most genius things about that scene was that it was during like a heartfelt scene. Like, no, listen, Abby, we're really gonna you just they're just getting all tied up like while they're having this like whole like you said, this whole sweet moment, and then all of a sudden just boom.
yeah, and you have the like you said, you have the order there where like the blonde is the tough one, the tough chick, and I can't remember, the brunette is like
Yeah.
the motherly of the group, and then they got the sweet innocent like
Yeah.
Lillian from Gilligan's Island type
Exactly.
girl.
Yeah.
And the motherly one gets it, which is another signifying thing in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even a line where she says, when she dies, we're jumping ahead here back and forth. That's okay.
Yeah.
Where you always took shit every turn you made, you always got shit.
Right.
Um,
But that's what I'm kind of meant by like the foreshadowing, where it's like there's three women there. Again, Trina was like the tough one, the blonde one. The other one was like the quiet little sweet one, and Jackie was just the one that they just tore apart.
yeah.
They tore her apart, and it was just indicative of like her whole life, because like there was even that flashback where like, the the girls, they all, the Rat Pack as they called themselves, brought this guy, the Dobbler, to the baseball field, and Jackie was gonna like do it with this guy, or at least make him think that he was. And because this guy was like one of those guys who just like bangs every chick in college because he's so popular on the baseball team and all that stuff, it was like, yeah, I never had a broad wait this long to do something like this, Jackie, and then she like runs away, and then like they turn the lights on him and he's running away naked. Obviously, this is supposed to be in college, but the dude looked like a freaking werewolf. It's like,
Yeah, like your sleazy uncle or something.
exactly, like early 20s, but he looks like he's like Magnum PI.
Well, I mean, that's the thing of the film is like, I don't want to get too film nerdy here, but I kind of broke this film down analytically before we did. Like that's the irony of it is on one end you have the mother figure of the group, which is Jackie, just taking the shit, dude, like at
Yeah.
every turn, taking the piss out of her, right? But on the other end, the depraved end, the mother is the patriarch. The mother is the strong one that's pulling the strings.
Right.
So you got that duality there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Jackie gets it the worst, and we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
so they bring him to the house, and they gag him, tie him up, and it gets a little depraved here. And they're kind of playing with them, the two brothers. We mentioned one's kind of comes off as like a Italian Guido that likes disco,
Yeah.
and the other one is like a comic book loving punk rock
Right.
type of dude, with bleached hair and loves punk music. I
Yep.
think there's like even a Ramones poster in the
Yeah.
room and stuff. But that's the funniness of it. That's where you're able to watch it. And you know what's coming. Like the anticipation is good. And I gotta say, for a trauma film, the production was pretty decent. I mean, it's not the best, but it's decent for like the king of B movies, which is Trauma.
Right.
So you get what you expect. But they're tying them up, and then they. What's funny is they pick Jackie first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they bring her out, and they're the funniest thing is this moment in the film where the mother is sitting on the bench, and we got a surprise for you, Mom. We got and they're actually doing like little plays with Jackie for the mother, which is pretty sick and depraved,
really
but
sick.
it's funny at the same time.
Right.
Where they're putting on little like Pictionary, or what is that game? Where you act something out.
Charades.
Charades. Yeah, they're doing like a little charade game with the mother, and the mother's all excited and getting really into it. And they have her like be a little lonely girl on the park bench reading a book.
Do the Shirley Temple.
It's very Last House on the Left-ish too.
Exactly. And that was yeah. And that was one of the things that I was going to mention was like this was amidst like all those type of movies, like those abduction / takeover type of films. So like it makes sense that this is the type of movie that would have, still been, you know, still been relevant. So it was like a lot of movies like that were coming out. So like, you know, this was a different take on it. I mean, it was a little more silly, a little more like, you know, like you said, satirical in a sense.
Right, which it was a depraved revenge flick, which was becoming popular in that time period. But
Exactly.
what Trauma did was smart, is that they added black comedy and sugar so that you're able to process and take what you're watching. Because when you're watching I Spit on Your Grave, which is another, revenge grindhouse flick, or um, Last House on the Left by Wes Craven, you're not, there's no funny moments. You're disgusting, and like you have to take a shower afterwards when you watch those movies. You're depraved. You're feeling like, how can people do this? And that's the difference between those films and Mother's Day. Is Mother's Day has the Trauma stamp on it, where he also makes it black comedy, slapstick, and funny, like all other movies.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, because like with Trauma, it's not going to be just straight up horror. You know, there's going to be some wild things in it. There's going to be some funny, and it's not just going to be like a straight up murder movie. You know, because you look at movies like Toxic Avenger, Black Roses. You know, it's like as fun as those movies are, and as like creepy and like eerie as some of those movies are, it's like it has that element of, like you said, comedy. You know.
Well, I mean, Trauma, their Graduation Day was their take on slasher films, just straight up slasher.
Mhm.
And Mother's Day is their take on revenge grindhouse flicks.
Yeah.
This is their take on those
Yeah.
two styles, which were popular in those time periods. So Trauma decided to do them.
Yeah,
You know, um,
and it's like they took those ideas and just tried to make them a little more fun. Like you said, a little, like, add a little sugar to it just to make it a little easier to watch, and just not make you feel like you're totally losing your soul while watching it.
and it worked. It's not you don't have a dirty, depraved feeling after you watch Mother's Day.
Right.
There's a lot of funny moments. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in it, but there's a lot of funny moments, so they balanced it good. Where that's the whereas like you watch the others,
Yeah.
it's traumatizing.
Yeah.
I mean, very
Yeah.
traumatizing. So that's the difference of
Yeah.
what they did, which is pretty clever.
Yeah, and it's like it's like one of the funniest things about it, obviously, like I would say, like I feel like Ike was the funniest character in the whole movie. You know, just the teeth, the one missing eye, the one discolored eye, the blonde hair, the way he talked, you're a real pretty girl,
The cop impersonation.
oh my God, dude. And it's like, dude, I can't tell you how hard I laughed the first time I saw when they found the car, they opened up the hood, and inside all the wires are like all disconnected, and there's just a dirty pair of tidy whities like right right on top of the engine. I'm like what the hell? Who does that? Like
There's a
that's like
there's a lot of funny
salt
moments.
on the wounds. Yeah, that like the underwear there was just salt on the wounds. It's like, look, we destroyed your car. Now you got to touch my dirty underwear.
And they're brushing their teeth with beer. If you watch it, like you watch the movie
Yeah.
in the by frame, they're brushing their teeth in their house, with beer. It's just that the house is a mess.
Yeah.
It's very sleazy. It's a sleazy film.
Yeah.
I mean, at that one point where the girl's running in the car and she thinks she's saved, and it's a cop car. We don't know where he got it from.
Right.
And it's, he has the hat down, and it's one of the brothers she discovers and pushes him down the hill. But, it's like funny stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So now here comes a question. You said they had a cop car. Where did it come from? Do you think that maybe somebody maybe escaped or got hip to where these people were and like knew what they were doing, and a cop went over there and they took him over, took his clothes, took his car, so now they have a new way to lure people in. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Maybe.
you
It
know,
doesn't get explained. So
it doesn't get explained, but
Possibility.
it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that something like that may have happened, where it's like you're sending a cop to our house. Hey, it's like, yeah, just come to the backyard, and then Ike jumps out, does the whole hey, and just destroys the car.
Right.
takes his car. Happens,
Yeah, I mean, they got it from somewhere.
yeah, happens to wear the same size clothes. You know,
There are some sick moments where, like, like when they're escaping from the house, the other two,
yeah,
right? And they're trying to find her, and they wrap. I can't remember their names. I'm just gonna go with the blonde girl,
Trina.
Trina,
Yeah,
in the bag, and the other one's lowering her down, and she's must be using like fish wire or something, and it's slicing through her hand because she has to hold the bag because the disco loving brother comes crawling down on the bottom of the window. She doesn't want to drop her, and so that they know they're escaping, and it's slicing literally through her hand, and blood's coming. Those are the cringy moments in it. Like, it's like, oh, that's gotta hurt so bad.
especially like when they show her hand afterwards, like how deep
Yeah.
the rope cut into her hand. And that's one of the things I was talking about earlier with the foreshadowing, because like when they were going through the pictures, you know, and they were talking about like, oh yeah, you remember we had to sneak out of the sleeping bag, we had to lower you out of the window. So it's like when you watch that scene, it's like, okay, they've done this before, they just hadn't had to do it like this, where they were like trying to like save their lives and like not get caught, and you know, have her hands just totally like it almost went like right through her hand. And you're right though, it's like even now like looking at that, it does kind of make me cringe still.
Yeah, it's imagine that, just slicing and not be able to scream. I couldn't even imagine, man.
I know, and it just also goes to show you, because like it got to the point where, you know, at this point, you know, Jackie, you know, the one that they had brutally beaten, and like, you know, it was crazy that they're going through the house looking for her, and they find her in a dresser drawer. Like they just stuffed her in a dresser drawer, pull her out, they take her out, they get her out of the house, and finally she unfortunately succumbs to the beating and dies.
Raping.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, they rape her.
brutal assault that was put on her, because you know there's a whole point of the movie where we don't see Jackie at all, so we don't know what they're doing to her. You know, we just see them dress her up as like Shirley Temple, make her walk through the park with a little doll in her hand, get, you know, beaten, raped, destroyed right in front of their mother. And it's like, this is what they had to do for their mother. So they bring Jackie out into the woods, and it's like she finally dies. You know, they kind of cover her up a little bit at first, say that, do their cries, and it's like, all right, look, we got to get out of here. And then like that's when Abby snaps. The sweet, cute, innocent Abby snaps and says, no, we're going back and we're taking care of these people. We're taking them out. No, they just killed my best friend, one of my only two friends that I've only had for the past 10 years of my life. The only escape that I get every year from this crazy mother, who every time I come into the house, she starts screaming at me where I've been, calling me a slut, calling me a whore, saying how sick she is, and all that stuff. It's like, no,
Personal.
it got personal. It got very personal.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, in Mother's Day, it's basically two things. The two brothers are trying to, the mother's the patriarch, right?
Yep.
Trying to gain the mother's respect. So it's just in a sick, weird way this family functions. But they're doing this all for their mother. And in a lot of these revenge films, like these women revenge films, the innocent and the weak become the hunters.
Yeah.
That's what happens in Mother's Day, is that now the hunters originally are being hunted by the weak, and the innocent become the strong and are now hunting them. So it's reversed. So now we see in the third act the two girls getting the kind of vicious and brutal in their own aspect, and chasing after the two brothers, and successfully fucking them up pretty bad.
Yeah, and it's like there's even a moment where Adley, the shorter brother, like he's talking, like, you know, the mother keeps like giving them this, telling them the story about her supposedly dead sister Queenie. You know, this like crazy child who was born with a full head of white hair, who's in the woods and waiting for, you know, for mother to make the wrong move to attack. Now, she's like, oh, close the door, Queenie's out there. So, and then there's that moment where Adley's talking to her, and it's like, you know, grandma told me that she's dead. She's like, no, she's not dead. It's like, look, here's her ear. And then she smacks him, and it's like, no, I know she's out there. And, you just kind of like, where did this story come from? It's like when you first hear her mention Queen, you just kind of like, what is she talking about? And then when she tells the story, it's like, okay, so something's going to happen with this now. Like, what is?
Well, you either think it's a lie or urban legend.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but it makes you wonder. It's like, okay, now is this something else that we're going to have to deal with at some point in this movie?
And it comes into play at the end.
Comes right at the end. Yeah, right. It's like after they went through all that stuff. I mean, let's just get to the moment where Abby finally takes out Mother. I mean, we could talk about what they did to Ike when what was it, Drano she put down his throat? Liquid plumber? No, I think it was Drano, like the Drano powder. Yeah. Dude, I remember the first time I saw that, just watching that like bubbly, fizzy blood coming out of his mouth, like from down his throat. I was like, oh, like even watching it now, even rewatching it to do this episode, I'm watching, I'm like, oh, like it's still like, that's another part that makes me cringe because it was like all bubbly, all fizzy, and it was just that like color of red where
there was some brutal kills in it.
Yeah, there was that
and things that were being done.
Right. And they got
the other brother gets the needle through his neck.
Right, but he also gets an axe, he also gets the hatchet in the balls.
On the balls, right. Yeah. So they kill him.
When Ike sees him dead, though, it's like, you don't want to laugh, but he's like, you killed my brother. Dude, it's just like the way he talks, the way he screams. It's just like he's got such a funny voice. And it's like, I also like wonder, like, when I was looking through the IMDb to like, see like who these people are and all that stuff. The guy who played Adley, the younger brother, Ike, and the mother all went by different names for this movie. So it's like, I'm thinking of that, and I'm like, I wonder if they went with different names because they didn't want people to know who they were and that they were doing a movie like this back in the day. Because the guy who played Ike, the older brother, went by the name Holden McGuire, but his real name is Frederick Cotton. He played, I don't know if you remember Wayne's World, the first Wayne's World movie? You remember the cop? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get it. Bacon, oink, oink. That's him. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's Ike. That's the dude who, like, went flying down the hill. Like, that's another funny part when she throws the rock to make him think that they're over there. And he just goes sliding down the hill, does that little, like, shriek. He gets up. Yo, bitch. Ah.
Yeah, it's that's the vaudeville aspect of it. There's a lot of like slapstick, which makes it funny. I mean, it's a revenge film, but there's a lot of slapstick stuff going on in it. I mean, that's the best way to describe. Also, like when they're training too, they have the training moment for the mother, and like the music going and stuff, and like,
yep,
just
doing like the one-arm push-up,
crazy stuff. Yeah, like you wouldn't, like, why is this even in this? Yeah, I mean, it
exactly. It's like, hey,
could have been edited.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. It's like you said, it's like because it's that type of movie. It's just so you're not like sitting there like ready to.
Yeah, you're able to process it.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy way.
Coming off of like the Rocky movies and all that stuff, just because like. Just to get, it's like, hey, listen, this is what we do before we go out and assault women.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plot of it is crazy and sick when it comes down to it. But I mean, it's a message of the breakdown of family values. When it comes down to it, from an analytical aspect, that's what the director really was trying to purvey, is that. The Norman Rockwell life was deteriorating by that point. Coming to the beginning of it, where kids were getting distracted. They were still eating dinner with their mothers by the time, 85 and 80 through 80, the kids were out until the street light went off, so it was the breakdown of, where was the father too in all this. So it's
right.
That's what it was trying to convey in a depraved and slapstick black comedy kind of way, is the breakdown of family.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because like there wasn't even any mention of like a father at any point.
Right.
Like, where did these kids come
So that's what the message was. I mean, through all the smoke, through all the stuff that's going on, that's what it was. And you know, if you get it, you get it. So it's, I mean, it has social commentary to it, but it's very satirical. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a unique film.
it is a unique film, and I thought it was going to be like harder to like discuss this movie because of the subject matter of it, and it's like when you put it in that when you put it in a certain way where you talk about like you know it's like it's really hard to explain how there's like comedy in this type of movie, but there is, you know, with the brothers because they're both like so like the older brother is so oafish, like so ridiculous, and it's like they're like two buffoons, you know what I mean? And it's like you think one of them is going to be like smarter than the other or even like just better than the other, but they're just both like just buffoons, you know?
Yeah, I mean, fighting constantly like brothers do.
Exactly.
You know, picking on each other.
Yeah, and
Um,
even fighting over who gets to assault the chick, you know?
right, right.
Like
That's all meant to be satirically funny,
mhm.
because it's true to life. That part of it, but there's also brutalness and depravity and gore a little bit and revenge and uh, weak women becoming strong to survive, survival skill. Um,
Yeah, and you know, there's also oddly enough, there's also that like that element of disappointment like that a child like when that a parent feels for a child and how that affects a child because you know when the women escape and Ike is sitting there like, you know, mama, I'm really sorry. She's like, she basically says, get out of my face. Don't talk to me. You screwed up. I don't want to look at you. And he's just like kind of standing there like, I'll make it up to you, mama. I'll make it. Because, you know, it's like when you know, when you're a child, whether you're a kid or whether you're an adult with like a childlike mind or, you know, your whole life has been built around just pleasing your mother and doing everything she tells you and doing everything to make her happy. There's that one moment, that one disappointment, it destroys you. You know what I mean? It's like, look, I've been doing good, so good, but this one time I screwed up, it's like it crushed him. You could see it. Like, you know, it's like you don't want to feel bad for the guy because he is a piece of shit. He is a piece of garbage for doing what he does because his mother told him to, but you could see like how hard it was for him to like take that kind of like to have
right.
disappointed his mother so badly.
And the two brothers possess a childlike demeanor. They're arrested development. You know what I mean? They're not fully developed mentally.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're like children still. And the mother, you know, does everything.
Right.
Um, but it makes you wonder how that there's no backdrop of how this family became like this.
I
It's
know.
just right from the gate. The
We're
mother
sitting.
just kills those two drifters, and the son's coming.
Yeah.
You know, kill up. So it's like, how did it end up? How did these people, the mother, end up wanting to see their sons do depraved, sick things to women?
I know, man. And like
You know,
that's yeah, it's like
there's
'cause
no backdrop
they live in this little like house in the middle of the woods.
in the
In the middle of
woods.
yeah, in the middle of nowhere. It's like how does that even happen? And this is what New Jersey, which is even funnier because it's like how many people with southern accents live in New Jersey? It's like just because he's like I find it funny when there's like an area in New Jersey where it's like just because it looks like, you know, backwoods type stuff, it's like they all have like southern accents. Like the dude at the store,
South Jersey.
I want to go down in the Barrens, you know? And then there's the grandma, you know, then there's the mother, of course. It's like, darlings, you've made your mother very proud, you know? And dude, like when Trina, the blonde, when she's like, you know, she's like, get away from me, you backwoods coward or so, backwards piece of shit, whatever. She's like, hey, don't say that. We're not backwards. We're
Yeah, you
citified.
backwoods depraved fuck.
Yeah,
That's what she said.
he says we're citified. Look around. It's like what? Because you got
Well,
graffiti.
I mean, in their minds, they thought that this was normal. I mean, you had
Exactly,
two
but
brothers. You know, the little one was kind of more of like the leader. Like he was more, I think,
He was a little more
in
level-headed.
the mind
Yeah.
than the tall one. The tall one was completely childlike, like
Yes.
just completely. So I mean, but this is what they, this is their life, and they see nothing wrong with it, and that's probably the sickest aspect of the whole film is that this is normal to them,
Yeah, because
right?
and
So
again, and like Adley, the younger brother, like just seemed to have a little more sense to him. He seemed to have a little more, like, I don't want to say compassion, but like enough sense to even like just stand up to his mother when they were talking about that whole Queenie story and all that stuff. And he's like, oh well, grandma says Queenie's dead, and of course she smacks him like, get out of my face, you don't know what you're talking about, type of stuff. And then what's even sicker was like, when the girls did come back to kill them, when they did come back to seek their revenge, like it wasn't just, all right, we're going back. No, they dragged Jackie's body all the way back to the house and propped her up outside the house. And it's like, no, she needs to see this. I'm like, it's like because like this just goes to show you how bad Abby has lost it at this point. She's like, no, we're bringing our dead friend back with us. We're going to prop her up and we're going to let her see, quote unquote, see what we're going to do to these people who did this to her. And then when she got there,
well, that's how much Jackie meant
of
to her.
course, of course,
That's the bond was,
yeah,
was
well,
strong.
right. And that's the thing. It's because, even though Jackie was going through her bad relationships in New York, she was at least in a relationship. She was at least around people. In New York City, it's like, you see her going outside. She even talks to the security guard in the front. Then she goes outside. There's a woman singing, a guy drinking, saying the Rockefellers make $1 million a day. It's like it's a big city. It's like you've been to New York. I live in New York, and it's like,
Which
oh, what?
was one of the consumerism little jabs that you don't notice when you're watching it.
Right.
That was a jab, a consumerism.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, the
Of
Rockefellers
course.
make $1 million a year. So
Exactly.
Trauma was this little company that made stupid films, but did they really make stupid films? There's a lot of social commentary in Mother's Day,
Oh
believe it or
yeah.
not,
There's always
that people don't realize.
yeah, there's always something smart happening in those movies, and it's like, you know, you just got to catch it. It's like it might be small, but it's like you mentioned Romero earlier, and it's like Romero always had some kind of like social commentary to each of his movies.
Absolutely. But I think that's what was influenced. I think Mother's Day was influenced from that kind of stuff. So, because that's what they were doing in there. And there wasn't a lot of films out there doing that at that time, but you catch them. But those films are really supposed to do that, but in a brutal way. Like I Spit on Your Grave and in all those films is you're watching it from a fan gorehound aspect. But then when you get older, you realize that there's social value in the films. When you start getting into film, some people just like to listen to podcasts, just, want to hear two guys talk about a grindhouse film where women are getting raped but you know, we break the film down and we explain, like, when you're older, at some point you're going to watch it and be like, oh, this is what he means, or this is what he was trying to convey to the world or portray, is that, the breakdown of the nuclear American family and consumerism. And like the same thing Ramiro did, with the decline, the war, Night of the Living Dead, the racial social commentary, where there was a black male survivor, which had never been heard of. The daughter killing the family, beating the father in the basement. All that stuff, you don't get it when you're watching it, but then you get it later on.
And that was such a crazy ending because it was like it didn't matter if the dude would, like, they didn't even check to see.
Yeah, they just shot him.
Yeah,
And he was the survivor, and because he was
right.
black, they shot him.
Exactly, and then Dawn of the Dead, and that also was a take on consumerism, because here are the people, they're all dead, they're all brain dead, the only thing, they're going to the place they remember them all, where they
Dawn of the Dead, yeah.
So
Yep.
toward the end of this movie, when Abby's just losing it, and they finally make their attack on the mother. the crazy thing is, it's like we already know that Abby has an overbearing mother. So now this mother, Ike and Adley's mother, is screaming at Abby the same exact thing that her mother did. I'm a sick woman. I'm a sick woman. And that's when she really snapped, because then she starts hearing her mother's voice. And it just kind of gives you this whole idea of where she is with her mother. It's like, oh my God. And she takes those big, giant, transparent, fake blow up titties, shoves them in her face until she does. Shoves them in her, dude, shoves them in her face.
That's trauma.
Suffocates her until she dies. And that's it. And it's like you see the anger on her face, but then you see that fear that she just, in her mind,
Projecting.
Yes.
Projecting
Exactly.
onto her own mom.
Exactly. Right. Because
and it's another thing of post-traumatic stress. You
right.
know?
And that
PTSD
was the thing that
and trauma.
That was the thing that like really got me, even when I saw it years ago, was like she sees her mother. And it's like, while she's in there thinking like, oh my God, I want to kill this woman. I can't stand this woman. She needs to die. In the back of her mind, it's like, yo, that's still my mother. Like, how can I be just taking the life out of this woman while I'm thinking about my own mother? Even though it's like what I'm hearing coming out of this woman's mouth reminds me everything of my own mother, the overbearing mother, doing everything you can to please her. And that's exactly what Ike and Adley were doing with their mother. So it was like that whole like foreshadowing thing kind of comes into play there too. So she's killing this woman, basically envisioning her own mother, which it's sad. It's sad to think that. It's sad to look at, to like just squeeze the life out of somebody, especially if you're picturing your own mother.
Well, there's the battle of you killed my best friend and, you're just like my overbearing mother. And then the two sons had an overbearing mother. So it comes full circle.
Exactly.
And she kills the patriarch, the mother.
Well, the matriarch. It's matriarch.
Or matriarch.
No, I'm just trying, because like I think
yeah. But,
yeah.
Y'all know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I was like,
the boss.
Yeah.
But then you get that surprise ending kicker, which is great too, where they think they're out of the woods, not literally, but
not
out
literally,
of the woods. So like, everyone's dead. They're survived. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you get that kick in the nuts, like, oh shit, what? I forgot about this through the film, watching it. Supposedly, I guess it wasn't an urban legend or a lie, because you get this almost looks like a snowman ape type of creature jump over, and guess what? It's her sister. It's Queenie.
Right, because they close in on like the missing ear that Adley was holding. It's like, and it's crazy too, because like they just got done burying Jackie in the woods. Now, in my mind, I'm always thinking this. It's like, okay, you're like, the danger's over. I mean, supposedly the danger's over. They got rid of Adley. They got rid of the mother. They got rid of Ike. And they're obviously going to find help. Now, I don't expect them to drag Jackie all the way out of the woods to the streets. But it's like, all right, you're going to bury her, then go get help, and then what are you going to have to do? Come back and unbury her so you can have a proper burial for her or whatever? I mean, obviously, this giant furry lady of a monster called Queenie jumps out, and that's where the movie ends, with her like in the air, like just growling. It's like, they turn, they scream.
And was she just killing women?
That I don't know.
Or was it to defend it? Was it to defend the family? Because she wasn't at goodwill with her sister. So that's what I've always wondered at the end when I was like, is she defending the family still?
Was she going out to thank them?
And they don't survive.
Was she going out like, no, wait, I'm not. I just want to thank you. Thank you for doing something that I couldn't do.
Who knows? It's open a joke. We don't see them die. So.
Right, but that was like a crazy animal of a woman. It's like she just like that jump. That was like a giant. That was like a big jump. That was like a gorilla jump. Like
Bigfoot. She looked like.
Yeah. Like
staying out in them woods all those years.
Right, but it's like if she really wanted to kill the old lady, like I think she could have. I think she could have been beaten down the door and like ran into her room while she was sleeping and just tear her apart.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta.
I mean, look, obviously
It's
it was
open interpretation.
right. Obviously it was like, or maybe it was because that might have been Queenie's area and they were just disturbing her woods. It's like, yo, you can't leave this body here. This is where I live. Maybe that's why she didn't, it was like, I'll stay away from you. You stay away from me.
Right.
Kind of thing going on with her sister. And then it was like these women. It's like, no, you can't bury your friend here. Get the hell out of here. This is my area. It's just a wild flick from beginning to end. Because, like we said, it starts with that whole motivational class ego with cracked out Lady Gaga and Paul Rudd. Just like asking for a ride, and it's like you said, you think that they're going to be the ones who are going to start off some kind of, killing spree or something. Because it's called Mother's Day. You see the mother, uh, you know, um, you see this old lady at this thing, and she's like such a sweet little lady. It's like, yeah, I'll give you a ride, and then it's like, you know, when she goes to open the hood when the car breaks down, it's like, what's his name, Charlie. He's like telling, like giving her the look, like do it, like you think that he's like trying to get her to like turn on the car and run over her, but he just wanted her to turn the radio on, and then all of a sudden you just see him sitting in the back. Lady Gaga screams, and this machete just comes right through the window, chops his head off. And I gotta say, for the time, good good special effects. Like the head that they
Yeah, you could clearly see it's a mannequin, but
yes, you can clearly see that it's a mannequin, but the shape, the way they did it, you know what I mean? Like it was pretty good for what it was. Not that far off from Pamela Voorhees in Friday the 13th.
yeah, no, I mean the production value for what Trauma does for what their budget was is pretty decent.
Yeah, and it helped that he was wearing sunglasses, so like they probably didn't even have to like make eyes for it or anything like that. But for what it was, it was. I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, you could definitely see it. Like they obviously had the camera on it for too long for you to not notice.
Right.
And
And I think they did on purpose. I think it was kind of just on.
exactly, but for what it was, you know, it was good. I thought it was good makeup work, good constructing of all
Yeah,
the fake head and all that stuff.
but I mean, it's your pick. So what do you think? And then I'll give my final.
Okay, so this was one of those, like, again, this was one of those movies that, like, again, just on a whim that my brother brought home from Blockbuster. I think I was like somewhere between 16 and 18 when I first saw it. And it's really easy to say that you don't like this movie because of what it represents, but if you just can appreciate the just like you said, like the comedy of it, the revenge of it, and just the overall feeling of it, like like the fear, the disappointment, like like all kinds of different emotions that you feel like during this movie, because like obviously you see a man do something like this to a woman, it gets you angry. Then you see one of the best friends die, gets you sad. And then once they get revenge, you feel fulfilled. So you just kind of get a lot of different kinds of feelings during this movie, and it's like you can't take it too seriously because it is supposed to be a fun movie. As brutal as what happens is, you got to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's serves a purpose. I think in that time period, um, it was unique and different, but it was influenced by a lot of things you can see. But I think it has a lot of social commentary that's pretty clever that you don't really see until you kind of really watch the movie, so to speak. It's easy; it can come off as a pretty crazy, insane, fucked up movie, but under the layers, you can see it's about family breakdown, the nuclear family breakdown, and consumerism, and you know it needed to be kind of shown at the time, spotlighted. But it's a fun movie. It's a crazy fun movie, depraved and black comedy mixed together. done pretty decent for Trauma. So, you know, I have a friend that worked for Trauma too. Shout out to Jen Valdez.
Oh, that's cool.
Ended up making films of her own,
That's awesome.
award-winning films. But yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite Trauma films. Is it Troma or Trauma? It's Troma.
I always say Troma because
Troma.
I think the whole,
Troma.
yeah. But
That whole troop, that the Toxic Avenger. And stuff.
exactly.
But I like Graduation Day, and I like This Mother's Day. Probably.
Dude, I love Black Roses. I love that movie. That movie's so wild. But this one just kind of like, this is just one of those ones that just kind of crept up out of nowhere, and it's like,
yeah, it's a wacky film.
it is a wacky film, and it, you know, it's like when we talk about like influences when it comes to like these movies and stuff like that. Obviously, this was influenced by like a lot of the movies of the time that were like the revenge, abduction, takeover movies.
Women revenge, right?
Right,
Yeah.
that were in the vein of, you know, Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, and it's like, you know, you kind of think to yourself, it's like, is this a movie that could have potentially influenced anything in the future from that point on? I don't know. I mean, look, the only thing I could think of, I mean, it's like you got these two guys grabbing these girls in their sleeping bags, and it's like dragging them off, and it's like, okay, where can you? It's like, all I could think of was like Friday the 13th Part 7. The one kill that everybody knows, that everybody loves. You know, it's my favorite Friday the 13th movie, but won't get into that. But you know, the sleeping bag kill. It's like, dude, if these two goons can drag a girl off, it's like, all right, maybe we could top that. We'll have them swing her against a tree. All right, so I would say we're gonna bring this to a close. Neil, I know you got something coming up. What do you got?
End of September, I'm going to be on Cultworthy Studios podcast comparing two films, Judgment Night and Final Jeopardy, which was a TV movie, fantastic TV movie about black sheep in a big city, fish out of water with danger, taking a wrong turn type film.
Dude, that's awesome. All right, so we're going to end this, and if you listen, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We'll let you know when the next show is going to be. We appreciate your support, as always.
Thank you very much. Well, this concludes this episode of the Retro Film Podcast on Mother's Day. You can find Mother's Day on some of your favorite streaming services, or you could go old school, purchase yourself a physical copy. If you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Retro Film Podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate all the support as much as we like watching these movies. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you come back for future episodes.